Hey everyone, welcome back to Anu Talk Show. I want to start with something I have been noticing with a lot of women of color coaches I work with or who I have sales calls with. And I need to be honest with you about something. Most of you, right? Most of you are in two places right now when it comes to creating content, right? One, you are creating content consistently. You are posting, you are showing up, but the quality of the leads you are attracting is not aligned with your offer. You are getting on sales calls, it end up in a no, or you are feeling like, okay, this lead is not the perfect fit for my offer. So you are getting a lot of tire kickers, people who watch your content, who comment, who engage, but they never buy at the end. Or two, you are not creating content at all because you think, I just need to run paid ads. That's what's going to help me to get more clients. So you are banking on ads instead of building your personal brand, instead of building your messaging to attract the leads you need. And here is what I want to tell you that most people won't say this out loud, which is your content is literally what attracts the audience you have. Not your ads, not your networking, not your referrals. Your content is what positions you, what communicates your offer, articulate your offer, the value, and what filters who actually get inside in working with you. So if you are getting people on a call and you are not converting them, or you are seeing like, okay, they are not a qualified client, that is your problem, right? Means you have created your audience with the content you are posting right now. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly how to use your content to attract the right people. The people who are ready to invest in you, ready to invest in themselves, ready to, like, they are looking for a solution right now. And I'm going to show you the difference between content that attracts like window shoppers and content that really attracts aligned buyers. So if you're ready, grab your pen and paper and let's go. But before I dive in, I want you to give a little bit of context why I am saying this. Because for the first few years in my coaching business, I was doing exactly the same things that the industry told me. I was looking at million-dollar coaches. They were everywhere, right? They were posting 5 times a day, 8 times a day. And that is exactly what the industry has told me to do. I was chasing visibility. I thought more content meant more clients, right? Suddenly, if I post 100 content, then I will get 100 clients. I was posting every single day. I was also on all platforms: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and even on LinkedIn. I was everywhere. And you can imagine how burnt out I was, how I didn't have this fulfillment and this fun in my business anymore. I just kept going like a robot, and something didn't feel right how I was running my business. And here is what nobody is telling you, that, and nobody told me, is that I was attracting the wrong people. I was getting some followers who loved me, right? They were in my DMs, they were commenting on my posts, but they had no money and no interest to invest in any of my offers now. I was getting like engagements, but not the conversion needed in my business. So my revenue, my income was capped because I was trying to serve everyone instead of attracting the specific people who actually needed what I had to offer. Does that sound like you? Do you have this feeling as a woman of color? You are posting content, but no, like you are getting some people on the call, but they are not converting. You are seeing they are not qualified even to work with you in your business. And that was costing me 5 figures in my business. That was costing me hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I had to figure it out. And the moment I understood that my content wasn't just for getting attention and that my content and my messaging was specifically for attracting aligned buyers, and everything changed from that day on. I don't care about views, I don't care about followers, I even remove followers. I don't care about likes and comments I'm getting. I really care every single post, and I care about, is this specifically created for my aligned buyers? And from that moment, the conversion rate went up. My sales became easier. It was more fun. There was no chasing, there was no convincing someone on a call. And I stopped feeling like I was chasing clients and the money. So that is what I want to talk to you about today, because we had this conversation yesterday inside Leverage 20, like not to create content for more followers, but what you need to do in order to create content for more clients in your offer. And let me explain the difference. There are two completely different approaches to create content. And I need you to understand which one you're actually using right now, because it changes everything how you are creating content as a business owner. And the first approach is this content creator energy. If you're a content creator, right, your job is to go viral. Okay. If you are a content creator, you are an influencer, your job is to go viral. Your job is to grow a large audience, and you are creating content for the masses, right? You are dependent on brand dealerships, and brand dealerships want a big audience. Get it? And here is what that means operationally. You are creating high volume content. You are testing what is working. You are chasing trends. You are dancing maybe on TikTok because that is what is going on in the industry. And you are asking what's going to get the most engagement? What content will go viral in order to get more followers? And then you design your offer around what your audience tells you they want, right? Think about people like Mr. Beast or any of the huge influencers. Their model is, let me build massive audience first, then monetize through sponsorships, ads, affiliate marketing, brand dealerships, and that's content creator energy. Okay. Now, there is also a second approach how you are creating content using social media. And this is what you should be using if you are a coach, you are a consultant, you're a service provider, you are a business owner. And it's this expert energy, this authority energy with your content. If you have an expertise, you're an expert. Your job is not to go viral. Your job is not to grow a massive audience of hundreds, thousands of people. Your job is to attract more aligned buyers. So here is the operational difference between the expert energy and the content creator energy. You are not creating high volume content. You are creating high impact content. You are creating sales content. You are not testing what works with everyone. You are testing what works for your ideal client, for your personal brand. So you are not just asking what's trending, what song should I actually dance to. You are actually asking, what does my ideal client need to hear today to understand that I can solve their problem now? Do you see like the difference in the energy and how you can actually create content? Because the key difference as a content creator is you can create content, but most of the time you are more dependent on brand dealership, right? And let's say as a content creator, maybe you have a big audience, then you create an offer, and then you try to convince people to want it. But as an expert, right, you are using your content to only attract people who already see the problem they have and they are ready to solve it now. And that's the difference. Do you see the distinction I'm making here? Because how you think about your content changes everything. Because if you are chasing validation and vanity metrics like more views, more followers, more engagement, you are operating in that content creator energy. But I want you to see how powerful the expert energy is, because that is mm, how you will avoid the burnout when it comes to creating content, because your main driver is to get aligned buyers. It's not to get more views and go viral. It's getting more aligned buyers. That's the vanity metrics that you need to look at. Not the vanity metric. That's the only metrics you need to actually look at. So most of you are trying to be in this content creator strategy, but with an expert service. So if you are a coach, a consultant, you are trying too much to be a content creator, to be an influencer. And let this be your reminder and come back that you are not an influencer. If your main job and main driver is not to get brand dealership, don't try to go viral and chase for more likes. That's why your content feels exhausting. That's why you are getting the wrong people. That's why you are growing an audience that is never actually wanting to work with you. And that is why your conversion is low as well. So you are trying to appeal to everyone instead of being and becoming irresistible to the right people. Does that make sense? If you have any questions, please let me know. And let me tell you what I see when I look at most women of color coaches. You are creating content that is trying to be everything to everyone. Is that right? Let me know if you can actually feel resonated with that. Like, you are creating content that's trying to be everything to everyone. Your captions are too long. Mm, you are rambling because you are trying to cover all the different problems your ideal client might have in one post, right? Your messaging is too vague. You are not having an identity based messaging because you are afraid of turning people away. You are thinking, oh my God, if I talk to multicultural families, what if there is one white family and they don't want to work with me? Or, oh my God, Anu, you are only working with women of color coaches. Are you not afraid that other people won't come to you? No, I'm not. So you are posting tips and inspiration and more motivational quotes because you think that's going to get you more engagement. And this is what is actually happening. You are attracting people who love information, right? But they don't have the urgency to buy. So you are attracting people who are window shoppers. They like to be at the windows and they say, I want this, but not now, maybe in the future. And you know, the maybe will never come true. Is that right? So you know the feeling. You post something, you get engagement, people love it. But then when you go live for a sales call, you hear crickets. Nobody shows up, or they show up and they are hesitating. They don't have the urgency. And from your side, now it feels like you are convincing someone to invest. They want to think about it. They don't have the money. I have to talk to my spouse. And you are hearing objections like, I need to check my finances. So you start to think, okay, my content is not working. And you think, I need to create better content. I need more content. I need more content. And I need to go viral. So that's actually not the problem. Okay. The problem is that your content is not filtering for urgency. It's not positioning why there is the cost of waiting. And it's not helping people to understand that this is their moment to make a change. So your content is attracting interest. But interest is not the same as urgency. And you cannot convert someone into a high ticket client without urgency. Does that make sense? So, what most women of color coaches do is they get on sales calls, they try to create urgency through convincing. They try to convince someone into seeing the problem they are having on the sales call. They try to convince someone that the investment makes sense. Hey, why don't you look for help right now? They try to convince someone that now is the time. And that feels pushy. That feels manipulative and sleazy. That is also exhausting. And that's why you think sales is not fun. But it doesn't have to be that way, because if your content is doing its job, which is creating urgency, which is positioning why cost of waiting is way more than investing and getting help, the person on the sales call would already have the urgency. And you only attract people with urgency with your content. They would already see the problem, the problem they are having right now, and they would already believe that investing now makes sense. So all your sales call would do is confirming what they already know, and they will come in to your sales call with less questions, with less objections. And I actually want to tell you what happened that made me understand this. Okay, so I had a private client. She's a woman of color coach. She's brilliant. She has PhD, and she has years of experience. Okay, like years of experience. And she had built a decent following. She went always live. She was talking to her audience, but never sold anything, right? I think she had like 10K followers at that time. So she was getting engagement on her post, on her comments, like people were raving about her. People always went live with her, asked questions, so many shares. All the vanity metrics told her that she was doing well in her business. But then there was actually happening this behind the scene, okay? She was getting 20 sales calls a month, and her conversion rate was like 15%. So that means out of those 20 calls, she was closing maybe three clients. Three clients. So she came to me and she said, okay, Anu, I think I need to post more content. Like I need to go viral. I need to have a bigger reach, a big audience, even more than 10K, because clearly my current followers don't want what I am selling. So what we did is we audited her content first, and this is what we have found out. Her posts were inspirational. She talked about mindset. She talked about transformation and, here and there, talking about the importance of why you should invest in yourself. But nowhere in her content was she diagnosing the actual problem her ideal client was experiencing. Nowhere was she making someone feel seen in their struggle, right? Like, oh my God, how are you in my head with your post? Nowhere was she positioning the cost of waiting. She was not helping someone to understand that they couldn't keep doing this, what they were doing. There was no urgency. So the people attracted to her content were people who loved the inspiration. Boy, she's so inspirational, such a motivational coach. That's the content she created, which is why the people started to follow her. People felt good reading her post, but those people had no urgency to change now. So when they got on a sales call, she had to do all the selling. She had to convince them. She had to create the urgency from scratch because the content didn't match that before. And that is exhausting. So we changed the content. We stopped with the inspiration. We stopped with motivation. We clearly started to position her as this high ticket coach. And we started to create content that where she was talking about the pain her ideal clients were experiencing. She showed exactly the methods, the IPs she was using in order to help them to overcome it. And she positioned the cost of waiting for another 6 months, 12 months without like what would happen if you don't solve that. And we created more urgency in her content. We help them to understand why investing is not expensive, but staying in the same problem is way more expensive. So within 2 months, okay, her conversion rate went from 15% to 65%. Same offer, okay, more price. We increased the price. Same woman of color coach, but different content. So do you understand what shifted? It was not more content. It was also not better content. It was more about creating sales content and positioning her as the coach that you need in order to solve your problem right now. And that content was designed to attract the right people, people with urgency, people who want to have the solution that she is selling. Do you have any questions going on? Let me know. Because now I want to share with you um, about the sales content, how it looks like. And I want you to write this down because these are like what you can use to attract aligned buyers in your community. Number one is like problem naming content. Your content has to name the problem your ideal clients is experiencing, not the surface level problem, the real problem underneath. Because let me give you an example. A lot of coaches, they think their problem is I need more visibility. That's surface level. No one would actually pay you, if you're a business coach, $10,000 to solve a visibility problem. The real problem is I'm creating content consistently, but I'm attracting people who love my energy but never buy. So I feel like a content creator, not a business owner. That's the real problem, what is going on. Not only like, oh my God, I need more visibility. So problem naming content says, here is what I see, like you are getting engagement but no conversion. And it's not that your content is bad, it's because your content is attracting the wrong people. So when you do this, your ideal client starts to read your post, hear and listen what you are saying. They actually start to see that you are mimicking their experience, and they start to say like, okay, that's exactly what's happening to me, let me pay more attention to the content she's creating. That moment is so important, so that they feel seen and they feel reflected back in your content. That's when they are ready to listen to the solution. Nowadays in 2026, there is so much content out there cruising around. Why should someone actually pay attention to your content? How can you make them stop the scroll? And trust me, it has nothing to do with the viral hooks you need, literally about your messaging and how you are able to help them to feel seen in your content. So create posts, reels, lives, and tell them the pain they are having, but in the language they are actually reflecting it to you. So make your ideal client feel like you are inside of their head. Make them feel understood emotionally and also what is going on in the reality. Right. The next one is IP revealing content. So once you understand the problem, right, or once they understand the problem, they also need to understand why the problem exists. Okay. And they also need to understand what's the mechanism. Because if they think the problem is I don't have enough visibility, then the solution for them in the brain is I need to create more content or run ads. But if that is not your offer, what you need to do is they need to know the real IP, the real mechanism, the real process that you are helping them to go through to solve that visibility problem they are having. Right? So you have to create posts like 3 reasons your followers never buy, or 3 reasons why paid ads won't work for you, and give them the process they need to go through to solve that problem that they have. That is mechanism or IP revealing content. And the last one, I love it, is the belief shifting content. All my content is not about giving you more how to's. You know the how to's, go to ChatGPT, ask the how to. It will give you probably the best strategy. So it's not about how to that is getting me more clients in my offer. It's my perspective. It's how I help them to think about the problem they have, and how to think different to solve the problem is why they want to actually work with me. So once your clients understand the problem and the mechanism, they need to shift their beliefs about what's actually required to fix it. Okay. And most women of color coaches, they believe I need to run ads or I need a bigger audience. And that belief, keeping that belief is costing them. So, belief shifting content introduces a new perspective. It says, here is what you have been thinking. And here is why that belief is limiting you and not getting the results. And here is what you should think instead. Right? A post might be for a business coach. You You don't need a bigger audience, you need more qualified leads. And the way you build a qualified audience is through your content, not through paid ads. Example. Does that make sense? So when you shift a belief, your client goes like, oh, I never thought about that. That changes everything. Does that make sense? So here is what is really important. You have to use all three content in your messaging, in your content, all three types in your content, in your messaging, not just one. You constantly have to rotate through these three because different people in your audience are at different stages. Not everyone is ready to buy from you now. So some of you are just discovering the problem. Some of the clients or prospects you have, some understand the problem, but they don't understand why. Why do they have it? Some of them understand both and they haven't shifted their belief yet in order to say yes to your offer. So your content needs to address all these three stages, constantly rotate them in order to build an audience with aligned buyers. Does that make sense? So now let me tell you why most women of color coaches don't create this type of content. And I'm going to be real with you. It's going to be a hard coaching. So yeah, be open, be open-minded, be coachable in this moment. Creating like these type of content, belief shifting content, problem naming content, and IP revealing content requires you as the woman of color coach to have a perspective. It requires you to be willing to say, here is what I think. Here is what I believe. And here is what I see that nobody else is saying. And that for a lot of women of color coaches, that is uncomfortable. And that is what is missing. Because we were raised to not take up too much space, right? We were trained to be agreeable. We were taught to give balanced perspectives so that don't ruffle feathers, don't make the other person feel uncomfortable. We were taught to not ruffle feathers. So we create content that feels safe for us. We create content that is inspirational but doesn't challenge anyone because it makes you uncomfortable to challenge someone, right? And you create content that is rather motivational, but it doesn't threaten the status quo. So that safe content attracts safe people. It attracts people who are interested, but not urgent. They don't have urgency. It attracts people who watch, who say you are inspirational, but they don't buy. So your safe content mirrors safe people, and safe people don't invest. So if you want to attract aligned buyers, qualified buyers, you have to be willing to be polarizing. You have to be willing to have a strong perspective. You have to be willing to say, if you believe this, you might be limited. And that is the uncomfortable part in creating content for high ticket coaching. And I'm not saying you have to be mean, okay? I'm not saying to be combative. I'm saying be honest. I'm saying be authentic, have a perspective, and stand for something. And don't be afraid that people will judge you. Don't be afraid that maybe there are a lot of people who will talk against you. Because when you stand for something, you also don't stand for something else. What is that? And that filtering is what attracts the right people because you think that you are alone in this, but you are not. There are so many similar people who think like you, but they want a leader who says it first, and that should be you. So most women of color coaches are afraid of that. That's why they come to Leverage 20 because they know they have this expertise. They leverage that, they start to create content, and they start to see, okay, I'm not converting. What's the problem? The problem is that you are afraid to have a stand, that you are afraid to say something that will trigger people. And most of a woman of color coaches think if I have a strong stance, people will leave, people will unfollow me, people won't like me, and it starts to feel like too much. Your capacity is like, "Ah, I cannot deal with that." And this is exactly what we do inside Leverage 20. And honestly, yes, some people, they will unfollow you. The wrong people will definitely unfollow you. And that's exactly what you want. You don't want everyone and every grandma in this world to be your client, to follow you. So I know what some of you are thinking right now. You are thinking like, okay, Anu, but if I say something controversial, something very bold, or take a strong stance, what if my ideal client disagrees with me, right? What if I lose someone who would have been a good fit? And here's what I want you to know, and here's what I want you to tell you. The right clients doesn't need you to be everything and for everyone. The right client needs you to be clear about what you believe and how you can help. Think about it. When you are looking to hire someone, are you impressed by someone who says, I can help with anything? Or someone who says, I help specifically with people in your situation, in this specific problem, using this specific IP? Obviously, the second one, because specificity feels like competence. It feels like clarity feels like conviction, and conviction is what makes people want to buy from you. So yes, your strong perspective might turn people away, and that's a good thing, because those are not your people anyway. Those people are not meant to be in your community and in the movement that you are building. And your strong perspective will make the right people go and say, like, oh my God, this is what I have been looking for so long. Do you have any questions? So, what I want to tell you is also that the moment I realized how powerful this was, like I was live streaming one time, just like this, teaching about sales psychology. And I actually made the statement like, your sales calls aren't failing because you don't know how to sell. Your sales calls are failing because your content didn't move them through the awareness stages. And I immediately got a DM from someone in my audience, and they said like, "Oh my God, I never thought about this. This has been my entire problem." This is life changing. So this one shift in my perspective, or this one shift in perspective, changed her whole business. This is why it is so important that you take a stance and that you say some stuff that are bold and controversial. Because your content isn't just for getting more attention. Your content is to position yourself. Especially if you're a high ticket coach, we definitely need to make sure that you have an image, that we are positioning you so that more high ticket buyers are coming. It's to filter your ideal clients. Just because someone is an ideal client doesn't mean they should be in your program. Not all money is good money. Not all clients are good clients. And for doing most of the selling work before they ever get on a call with you, that is what content is for. And once you understand this, everything changes. So, here is what I want you to take away from this. Your content is what attracts the audience you have. Right now, today, tomorrow, the people in your audience are there because of what you have been communicating for so long. So, don't blame the audience, blame your content. And if you can blame what is in your power, what does it mean? You have the control to change that. The quality of people is directly tied to the quality of your messaging. So, if you want to attract higher quality people who are ready to invest, pay you 3K, 5K, 10K, people who are aligned with your values, okay? People who will actually complete your program. You know, as a coach, it's not only about the client is choosing the coach should choose the client as well. Because again, not all clients are good clients. You have to be willing to be polarizing in your content. And that means naming the problems no one else is saying. That means revealing IPs that you have created and shifting beliefs. Okay, it doesn't mean more content, it means more intentional content. And that shift took me from feeling like a content creator, scrambling for engagement, being down when nothing is going viral, and feeling like a business owner. because you have to realize you are, if you are a coach, consultant, you are a business owner and you are creating to support that business, to attract more aligned clients. And that shift is what will help you to get more clients in your one-on-one and in your group program. So, if you want help implementing this, if you want to audit your current content strategy and redesign your new strategy, DM me with the word content, and we can set up a call where we can do an audit together and come up with a new plan. Regardless, I want you to know that your content is your greatest asset. It's building your audience, it's building your personal brand. It's what builds your business, like literally. And you have to treat it like that. So, thank you so much for joining, and I wish you a wonderful day. Bye.